ECU, do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome back in, welcome to the show, Hoist the Colors, on this Tuesday, November 5th edition of the program. It is Election Day, but we're going to be talking sports on this to give you a break from all the political stuff. You can get that just about anywhere. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We've got a big show for you, a lot of ECU news, some scheduling news just breaking. We will get to that. We will also talk about ECU's season opening victory on the basketball front as they beat North Carolina Wesleyan last night. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Drop a comment and question there. Let's introduce our cast today. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. How's it going, Philip?
It's good. Sorry, I should have muted your mic.
No, you're good, man.
It's good. Excited. It's probably going to be a late night, not a lot of sleep. So got my red, white, and blue on to support. Obviously, I got my opinions, but whoever wins, we wish them the best. And we're celebrating a Pirate victory. We're mad at West Virginia, and we're going to get into that in a second. But, hey, Pirate basketball 1-0, so we'll take it.
We will take it indeed. 97-70 over North Carolina Wesleyan. Chance Scott is in studio. No Macy O'Donnell today. Maceo he had something come up last minute. So we called on Chance to pinch hit. He joins us every Tuesday. Now you're getting your full hour. You covered your first ever game officially last night on Press Row. I know, an exhilarating experience. How would you describe it?
Oh, man, it was definitely kind of surreal feeling, just always looking up there, seeing you, and as your name redacted, as you're called on other stations,
right.
Always sitting up there. It was a pretty cool feeling for me. I go and got to see a good win. Defense didn't play great. Offense was kind of slacky in the second half, but I think they were playing the score and not really the game. I think there's a lot of potential with this team, but I can't buy in just yet.
Yeah, I already had somebody ask me. We got the VIP chat going on Tuesday today on Hoist the Colors because just yesterday was so busy. Can I foresee a top 5 finish for ECU basketball? And I'm just like, come on, man. It's North Carolina Wesleyan. I saw a lot of good things, which we'll get into, but at the same time, a lot to improve on and a lot to still prove. So we'll talk basketball here in a little bit. We'll talk ECU, FAU here in a little bit. Let's start with the big news today. And I was out running this morning, training for a half marathon, by the way, which is going to be my excuse for how bad I'm doing my picks, Philip, just to give you a spoiler alert for Friday. I have to make a public apology.
You can't do 30 minutes of picks because you've been running.
That is, I can't do the research I need because I've been training for this half marathon is my point. But anyways, we'll get to that. But I get a call from the West Virginia writer, Mike Kazaza, with the Ear Sports website on 24/7 Sports. Great writer, does a great job. And, just start working the phones. Hey, West Virginia is going to buy this game out, which we know was a big possibility. So if you have not been paying attention on the internet, news broke around 11 a.m. West Virginia will buy out the scheduled 2026 game in Greenville. $300,000 is all they have to pay. We've had John Gilbert on this show before talking about future scheduling. I can't remember if he said it on or off the record, but he basically said, I'm worried about the West Virginia game because it is such an old contract. In 2008 is when this original contract was written. The buyout, $300K, is extremely low. That is basically nil for a school like West Virginia. And if you're a school like West Virginia, why go play at ECU when it's going to be a tough game? They do open that season against Alabama. They're trying to get out of that game too, from what I understand. They're trying to make a more favorable schedule. And with it being such a low buyout, it's too easy for them to get out of it. And I know there's been a lot of angst towards this administration. This is not one you can put on John Gilbert. $300,000 for a buyout for a contract that this was a contract not that Jeff Comfer wrote. This was a contract that Terry Holland signed in 2008, a contract that was signed 16 years ago. The issue was when it was amended in the mid-2010s, I don't know the exact date, I assume Jeff Comfer was the AD then, they pushed the game back to 2020. The buyout was not increased, and then you had COVID happen. That pushed the game back further. The buyout was not increased. So it was just too easy for West Virginia to get out of. We'll get into what this means for ECU's 2026 schedule, Chance. But I think the best way to describe it is unfortunate situation for ECU because they're kind of at the expense of the way college football is going and the way the contract was written.
Yeah, it really sucks because you're missing out on a big marquee game in Dowdy, and at the way college football is going, you don't get many of those anymore. My thing is like you said, it was really easy for them to get out of. It makes no sense for them to come play because with the transfer portal now, so many G5s can get really good talent, and there's no reason to go on the road and play to places that would be sold out for this kind of game.
Last time they were here, they lost 24-3.
It's been a while since we played, a bigger school here in Dowdy, so the fans would show up. It'd be loud. It makes too much sense. Like I said, if they're trying to get out of that Bama game, they want to make that schedule a lot easier, and there's no reason to go play a tough road game.
Philip, your thoughts when you saw this news?
Yeah, it's disappointing, but when you lay it all out, it does make sense to your guys' point. The tough thing now, and it's not the level that it was when the college football playoff was 4, but with the expanded conferences, it means you play more tough conference games. Yes, you still play 8 conference games, so not technically, but theoretically you don't know what that conference schedule is going to be, and you want to give yourself the ability to lose a conference game or maybe even 2 and not be out of the college football playoff. So if that means scheduling, one FCS team and 3 teams out of the MAC, and that's what's going to get you in the college football playoff. That's what's going to get you in the college football playoff. And that's what's really tough about being a good group of 5 team right now. Yes, I know that the last few years haven't been good, but when teams see us on their schedule, they know, hey, look, East Carolina has beaten West Virginia in the past. They have beaten NC State in the past. They have beaten North Carolina and Virginia Tech as well. And so they view it as, hey, well, what happens if we play Bowling Green instead? I would rather play Bowling Green instead of East Carolina. And also, to your point, if you're at home as opposed to on the road, I mean, it stinks. It's the unfortunate thing, but, the unfortunate thing, too, is the not knowing the future of college athletics, not knowing if there is going to be a break-off. This maybe didn't matter anyways. Maybe the top 70, maybe the Power 5, Power 4 now breaks off, creates their own league, and they're not even allowed to play us anymore. So who even knows at this point what the future brings? And it's going to be tough to do scheduling until there is a official new landscape of college football, which I think eventually, once it gets figured out, it will tame down a little bit the craziness, at least for a short amount of time, and then it will be easier to schedule games. Not saying it's going to be what we want it to be, but at least teams will know what they have in the future.
Yeah, it is all the points you hit on very good, Philip. It's just very tough to schedule right now if you're an AD like John Gilbert. And I know he's gotten some flack for the scheduling. I don't think he has landed a Power 5 home and home since getting the athletic director job, but I honestly, I don't know if it would matter who the AD was. I mean, maybe it would. Maybe it would be different, but, Cameron points out on YouTube, look, I don't know what people expect. There's no reason for Power 5 schools to play G5 anymore with the new playoff systems, larger power conferences. It's just the deal. Our fans need to stop crying, accept the fact the G5 is being left behind. Look, the other deal, too, though, is I think the Power 5 schools are still going to need Group of 5 schools on the schedule as it currently stands because they're going to need games that they're favored in. They're just not going to want to play them on the road. That is just the fact. So, you look at what this means for 26. East Carolina, right now, it was set up to be a very promising year. You've got North Carolina Central, your FCS game to begin the year. App State at home on September 12th. The West Virginia game was scheduled for September 19th. That is now open, and then at ODU. So that would have been a great schedule with West Virginia. Now with that falling off the schedule, the good news is if you're ECU, you already have 6 home games set. Obviously, the 2 non-conference plus the 4 conference games. So you would not want to lose the game, but you're in a decent spot where you're not desperate for a home game here. Let's say in 2026, the SEC is currently waiting to see if they're going to have a 8 or 9 game conference schedule. Basically, the entire SEC right now only has 3 non-conference games scheduled. If they need a 4th, ECU is going to be available. They could cash in right there. Let's say South Carolina needs a game. ECU on short notice could say, hey, South Carolina, pay me a bunch of money to go play there, or we're not going to play there. Or, hey, let's agree to a deal where we go there in 26, but you guys come to ECU in 32. Or if they don't want to do that, we'll play you in Charlotte in 2031 or something like that. So you do have the potential for some leverage here if you're ECU, but the cards kind of have to break your way. You also, I've heard there's some other schools out there that need a home game in 26, but that is the bad thing. You're looking around. Most schools are already completely full chance for 26, so a lot will depend on how this thing shakes out elsewhere.
I mean, it's 2 years away, and these games are scheduled 5, 10 plus years in a row, and just like this games get moved back, so there's not really a lot of open dates, from the next 2 to 3 years. Kind of got to see where you fall, see if you got to pick up another FCS game, which I really hope we don't. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll pick up an FCS game, but just because of the win qualification and already having Central, unless they have no other choice. The 1 year in 19 they had 2 FCS games. It's just they had no other choice. So I think I know you've done some research, Philip, on who could be available in 26, roughly.
Yeah, so just kind of looking at research, and now I'm going to make 2 points here. Who we could schedule, and then if the SEC thing falls, who else SEC teams would be reaching out to. And now I will say I did not research teams in which were already on ECU schedule in 2026 to see if they had an open date for this SEC thing. But out of a lot of the neighboring states, looked up Georgia Southern and some schools like that, Coastal Carolina. Old Dominion's already on the schedule, but I saw Kennesaw State is open and Western Kentucky is open. Obviously, if Helton would get the job here, the Western Kentucky thing would be really cool if that could happen. But that's kind of where the SEC would be looking at this kind of stuff as well. There are plenty of teams in the group of 5. Obviously, I didn't check out Charlotte with them being a conference opponent, so they could be open, not sure. But like you said, Stephen, with the leverage thing, you would have a lot of it. There's not a lot of premier group of 5 programs in the Southeast who are open, which hurts you if the 9 games happens, and then you're pretty much limited to Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky as far as FBS programs. But if you're looking at the fact that they do only play the 8 games in the SEC, again, they're slim pickings, and you're one of the more probably revenue-based games because East Carolina is a name, unlike Kennesaw State.
And that is a way of looking at it. And, I mean, the other scenario is, too, is, you look at, let's say, again, this is just very quick research according to footballschedules.com. All right, so Wake Forest is scheduled to travel to ECU in 27, but they have 9-19 open in 26. So would they be open to moving the 27 game to 26? I have no idea what Wake Forest's schedule philosophy is. Or would they be interested in moving the 2028 game in Winston-Salem to 26? So those are things, too. If you're ECU, you can start looking at some of the future games scheduled. Hey, we now have this date open. Wake Forest, would you be interested in playing this in 26 instead of 27 or 28? Or Liberty, instead of coming in 29, would you want to come in 26? So there's different pathways here as Liberty, looking at them. They do have Ball State scheduled on 9-19-26, but hey, could you work with Ball State to move that game, and we'll host you in 26 and maybe pay you a little more? So
Liberty could probably buy Ball State out.
Exactly. So, there's ways to work around it. It's just it's not ideal, but it's college football now, man. Cameron's point, I hate it, but this is just sadly the way it's going. And, I miss traveling to Morgantown for games, and I was texting with the West Virginia writer. He's like, man, I wanted to see Purple Haze again. So, it's one of those things that it just makes you kind of hate where the whole structure is going, Chance.
Yeah, college football is it's
games are
a
great,
whirlwind.
But it's just I don't know, the whole process of it is not
You just
fun.
don't know where this process is going to go. There's so many moving parts between players and teams and coaches and everything. So I think you just got to take it day by day at this point.
What makes football tough, though, too, is that it's that 1 game a week thing. Yep. And we don't hear about the baseball struggles as much, but talking to those inside the program, that can be a little tough because there's 1 series a weekend, whereas basketball, if something falls through on, a Thursday, it's like, oh, maybe we just don't play on Thursday that week. Maybe we can find something on a Tuesday. Or if nobody's open, we'll play 1 less game, then we'll try and play 3 games next week. Yeah, who cares, right? You don't have that in football, and that's what makes this so tough as well.
John Moody says, is the Northwestern rumor dead for 2027? I do not think that is dead. I still think ECU could be playing at Northwestern in 27. Again, nothing finalized, but I've heard that rumor as well. you look at, the next few years, next year's schedule is pretty tough. At NC State to open, Campbell, at Coastal, BYU at home. I mean, that is a very good schedule. So I don't think anybody can complain there. Obviously, 26, we just talked about. 27, you're scheduled to host Western Carolina, Wake Forest, and Georgia State. And 28, scheduled to host NC State, Coastal, Charleston Southern, and then go to Wake Forest. 29, scheduled to go to Clemson, and then host ODU and Liberty. And then 2030, scheduled to play Norfolk State, at South Carolina, at ODU, and then they'll add another home game. So I know it's not – I know everybody wants to be up in arms here, but, like, the future schedule still doesn't look that bad. And, like, to Philip's point, this all may not matter in 2 years because the whole thing could get restructured entirely. But I just don't think it's all doom and gloom like everybody wants to make it out to be, like, oh, ECU's a poverty program, blah, 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 like all these comments. Like, you got to look more into just, hey, West Virginia's buying out the game. I mean, they're not buying out the game because ECU is a poverty program. They're buying out the game because the contract is cheap and they're scared to come here and lose. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. So people that comment without much knowledge, I guess that's just commenters, though.
Yeah, that's everyday life.
Yeah, I'm sure it's that way on political stuff today. But
I'm sure that's that way on every message board on every college program in the country, right?
Yeah.
There's just some like rando comments. It's like, yep, that actually doesn't line up. Sorry. It's not that ECU fans are that way. It's just that people like to put their 2 cents on stuff that they're not that informed about. And that goes, like you said, political, sports, and the entertainment industry.
Bobby Harvard says that they're allowed to allocate the $300K to the Houston buyout. I think they can do whatever they want with the money. I'm not sure if it'll be a lump sum payment paid out over the course of a few years or what, but ECU can utilize it however they want. I would guess they already have the Houston buyout money set aside based on our previous conversations with John Gilbert, but they could use it however they want.
This wouldn't be so bad if we were still going to Boise State that year. That was going to be a fun road trip, and they were going to come back in 2028.
That is true.
Disappointing.
Yeah. And is it Atlas playing Boise State now? Somebody else.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, place,
yeah.
So. I will say ECU travels enough in this conference already, but that would have been a fun matchup from a standpoint of just two good teams going at it, two proud programs going at it. The other thing for ECU, a lot of these fans bashing the schedules and who ECU's playing, man, let's just win games. Get back to winning football games. 7, 8, 9 games a year, and let's stop complaining about the schedule. All we talked about was how weak this year's schedule is, and I get it. And ECU is struggling with this year's schedule, so I just want to see ECU win football games. All right, rant over. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk some basketball. Speaking of winning games, ECU is 1-0 for the 25th consecutive season. 25 straight years. Nobody wins an opener like ECU basketball. We will be back to break it down. Chance Scott, Philip Pilkington, and myself. This is Hoist the Colors.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
The Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo. Yes! That was so good! On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Chance Scott, Hoist the Colors contributor, is with us in studio. We've also got Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Pancakes hanging out, too. Nick Sampson, he may weigh in at some point in today's show.
Pancake just reminded me to tell everybody that the first college football playoff rankings do release tonight.
They do. Along with the it being election day, we also have the first college football playoff ranking. So that'll at least
first night of action, he said.
Man, he is all over it.
He is.
Pancake, are you going to have like multiple TVs set up? Is what I want to know. He says yes.
He said yeah, probably. Yeah. And his Canes play tonight. That's what he's really going to watch. Is his Canes are on a 6-game win streak, hosting the Flyers. But
that's fair. Well, there's a lot going on, along with it being election night. So, all right. Graham Till says the teams on our schedule have most all been better than originally anticipated. That being said, our record should be much better. He's talking about this year's week schedule. I agree. Graham. Also, John Moody says, could Oregon State be an option? I've noticed they have just done home and homes with Wake. So I think this goes back to the Boise State thing. Like ECU already travels so much for the American. I don't think they want to travel that far west for a non-conference game. Plus, Oregon State already has San Diego State on September 19th, 2026. And they are scheduling a bunch of teams in 2024, 25 because they're not part of a conference. So I think with them adding, I guess the Pac-12 is going to be a conference again, right?
Who
in
knows?
26, they added all those teams. So I think I would not count on Oregon State. All right, let's get into some hoops. Pirates win 97-70 over North Carolina Wesleyan. 25 straight season opening victories for the Pirates. We'll go around the horn, just early thoughts on the win. Chance, what were some of your takeaways?
Disappointed, man. We were 3 points away from 100. And
you were cheering hard for
Man,
100.
I wanted 100 points. It would have been cool to see it. But, I thought we looked really good in the first half. We held them to 4 points for God knows who.
It was like 10 minutes.
It was
almost,
a long
right?
time. Defense looked great. And like Coach Ward says, he felt like when they started playing the score instead of going in, they started spreading out. And I thought there's a lot of pieces that could, be good on this team. Julian had 4 turnovers, but I thought he honestly played a little bit better than what his numbers would say.
A lot of drop passes, which
Like
we're not talking football. We're talking ECU basketball. Like, I don't know what it is about basketball, man. It's one of those things where just I don't know. I feel like guys on the pick and roll struggle to catch the ball in the paint. So I'm getting spam calls left and right. It must be election day or something. But
Donald Trump's calling.
It's one of those things where I don't know. I don't know if they use slicker basketballs in a game or if the palms are sweaty, but either way, I thought 16 turnovers were a little high. Cam Hayes got a little banged up at the point. Still want to see more, good shooting early. I was, we know RJ is going to be RJ. It was good to see CJ Walker have an inside presence, 21 points, 12 rebounds in 18 minutes, which is extremely efficient. It was good to see also Jordan Riley hit a 3. We know he's an athlete. If he can be a good three-point shooter, that really will help ECU. It's good to see Cam Hayes hit 2 threes. You need somebody besides RJ to hit threes. Samaro, speaking of him, he had the 2 3-pointers as well, along with 4 assists. And then Jan Farrell hit a 3-pointer too, and he's going to be a good 3-point shooter, I think, for this team. Philip, any takeaways? I know you were producing the game, so maybe a little hard to watch. But what were your takeaways?
First off, I'm going to give us 15 turnovers. The last one was the shot clock violation at the end. Still too many.
Yeah.
That's still about 6 or 7 too many. What I liked in the first half is we scored in 2 ways. So this team prides ourselves on defense and defense creating offense. That happened. And when they had those opportunities to score in transition, they did it. They had a lot of transition buckets. But when they had to set up in the half-court offense in the first half, they were successful. I like that. Now, you have to learn how to play with a lead. We've learned how to get a lead, but yes, to your point, it was a little sloppy, a little lackadaisical. It kind of went from like true basketball to kind of blacktop basketball in the second half, and you get outscored by 6 points from a Division III team at 38-32. Now, yes, we were going deeper into the bench a little early than they were, but still, that's frustrating because it was sloppiness. It wasn't that shots weren't going down. Yes, we didn't hit as many threes in the second half, but there were still shots falling. It was too many live ball turnovers, too many balls that just went off hands and fell out of bounds. So learn to play with a lead. Treat it the same when you have the lead as opposed to when you're up. But overall, good half-court offense, good transition offense. We know this team's going to be good defensively. The question is, going into the year, can they be good offensively? If you just asked me about the first half, the answer is yes. If you ask me from the second half, the answer is I still don't know. Let's be more consistent.
Tony Hicks on YouTube says, all things said about last night's basketball game. He says, my 3 takes as a fan. Nice to see ECU hitting 3-pointers was number 1. Number 2, the free throws are not too bad except for Sear. And number 3, C.J. Walker played like a man possessed. Loved his passion and intensity. Yeah, just a few more notes. Was surprised to see Trayvon LeBeau get the start, but not shocked because I know that Mike Schwartz likes to reward guys who are high energy, high effort. He played actually the most minutes last night, 25 minutes, 8 rebounds, 2 for 2 from the field, 5 points, 2 blocks. I just think he's going to be a high energy guy who can do a little bit of everything, not necessarily score a ton, but be an efficient player in other areas. Also, Jayson Woodard only scored 2 points, but I just thought his feel for the game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers, and a steal. You can tell he kind of has good pace out there, and I expect him, again, only 3 shots from the field. I expect both those guys to play big minutes. We didn't see Callum Richard. We saw Ben Sal Vungo get in late. We saw Reed Kaysen and Tybo Bailey play over some of the guys at the end of the bench. So I don't know, did you have any other big takeaways, Chance, from kind of maybe some of the non-obvious takeaways?
It was a little weird not seeing Callum get in the game, and just Carson came in before him, so I was a little, it could be, who knows, could be a little banged up. Nobody really knows. Maybe Callum's just got replaced by better talent. I like what I've seen. There's some good 3-point shooting. RJ early looked like, one of the best players in the country, and then C.J. Walker, if he's scoring inside out like he was, it's going to be really tough to stop this team once other guys figure out their true role. Cam Hayes plays more consistently at the point guard. People forget that's his first real start since he was at State, and he's transitioned from a point guard to a shooting guard, coming here having to play the 2 behind Bobby, and so I'm excited. This team's got a lot of potential. It's just how do all the pieces fall.
Hey, Coach said the rotation was going to be 9. I know it's a non-D1 school, but in the bulk of that first half, rotation really was 9. I like to see that. I like to see the depth.
Yeah, I think, barring a surprise, I think you're going to see Cam Hayes, R.J. Felton, Jordan Riley, C.J. Walker, LeBeau, Woodard, Samaro, Jan Farrell, and Sear Malonga. You're going to see those 9 guys a lot, and I feel like that's a solid core. My concern is, we saw Cam twist his ankle last night, and we saw Jordan Riley hit his wrist on the rim, and I'm like, you can't be having injuries this early in the season, and hopefully those guys are fine. But also, C.J. Walker historically has struggled with injuries. So I just want to see them stay healthy, because I do think this is it's an interesting team. That's my take. I don't know. I just want to see them stay healthy and have a chance to be a pretty good chance. No pun intended.
Yeah, I think it's time to put in Evan. I cheer for the guy, man. He looks great in warm-ups. He is really small, but let the guy go out there and have some fun.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be an interesting year. I guess we'll learn more Saturday, guys. Coastal Carolina, they beat Western Michigan in your Sun Belt MAC Challenge, Phillip. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of that game, but first win for their new coach coming over from Western Carolina, Coach Gray. So we'll see Saturday.
Yeah, I did not watch any of the Sun Belt MAC Challenge. Despite me coming on the show and hyping it up and saying all these spreads are close, I was paying more attention to the local ACC schools, so I'm going to catch some flack for that. But hey, man, there was 199 games yesterday, which featured at least one Division I team. That's a lot to keep up with and a lot to watch.
Sounds like Kaysen.
Dude, I speaking of that, so like one of the things I do when I cover a game, when I lay to bed at night, is like go to my ESPN app and just scroll through all the scores. I do this for football a lot to like, catch up, because like when you're working a game, you don't really have time to look at other games. So what I did for last night for college basketball, scroll. Like I did not make it to the end of the list. I was like, all right, I'm putting this up, because there were so many games, and to your point, Philip, so many non-D1 games. So like it was double the amount that it normally is.
Yeah, you should have heard my halftime scoreboard update. It was bad. I should have organized it a little better, but I was like trying to pay attention to our game and watch others. So I'm just like scrolling through trying to find the games of interest, and I would go through like 16 or 17 straight games. Like no one in East Carolina Nation cares about any of these games. I'm just like, scrolling down through the list now. My scoreboard, it was terrible. It was so bad. But like I guess I should have like opened multiple tabs, done American, ACC, top 25. I don't know, man. It was just usually it's a little easier to do it. I don't know, man. It's tough. But looking at the Sun Belt MAC Challenge, man, they need to keep this going every year. There was like a lot of like 4-point games, 5-point games, 1-point game, an overtime game. There we go. Give us some good basketball on night one.
I'm telling you, man, we need that American Atlantic 10 Challenge. I mean, ECU already plays George Mason. They're already scrimmaging Richmond and Davidson. I need it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good basketball schools there, and there's no way to build basketball culture without playing them.
The tough thing is when you have UTSA fly to Fordham. I agree, but also like their conference is more spread out. Yeah, it makes sense for like half our conference and all of theirs, but they've got a few kind of in the middle of the country like St. Louis, but not to the level that we do.
All right, Bobby Harvard says, weren't we like 18 of 20 from the free throw line in the first half? Then we plummeted the free throw. Everything plummeted after halftime, Bobby. It was like, I think they were just kind of ready
I think they knew.
Yeah, it was just a product of the score. You hate to say it, but I think really was. He says, free throw line improvement is what is encouraging to me in regards to shooting free throws and free regardless of the competition, whereas Wesleyan wasn't long enough on the perimeter to get a hand in the face defensively. On three-point shots, he says he's also concerned about post play against a team with a true post player. I agree with that. We won't really know a ton until late in the non-conference schedule. And Johnny Robertson says Mount Olive hung 91 points on UNCW and still lost by 52. How crazy is that?
Yeah, we were watching. We weren't watching it, but we were looking at.
You were following the score.
They had
like 125.
It was like 81 at halftime. And I was like, "Yo, I checked it. And I was like, there is like 18 minutes to go, and they've scored 121 points. Like, what is going on over there?"
Thought ECU was doing good until we saw the UNCW score.
Now, when we lose to Mount Olive, it's going to be all craziness.
Oh, man. Mount Olive will be in here next week. Saturday, Coastal Carolina, 4 p.m. tip-off, ESPN Plus. That will be a game. I think we learned a little bit more about the Pirates. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will switch gears. Big ECU show today. We'll talk ECU football, guys. We're only 2 days away from being back in Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. Thursday night game, new blackout video dropped this morning. We'll touch on that and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around.
Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. We were talking hoops. Chance Scott, Philip Pilkington, Pancake, Nick Sampson, back behind the glass as well. Doing a great job. Graham Till, we were talking about UNCW scoring. What did they score? 143? 150?
I think 143. Yeah, school record.
Make a statement here that I may regret. Graham Till says, I live in Wilmington and have to hear a lot about UNCW basketball. I will say they start shooting from the time they get out of the locker room. And I agree. UNCW, they play a very wide-open, fast-paced press, run and gun style. They score a lot of points. They will once again lose inside Minges Coliseum this year. The home team in this series wins a lot. Doesn't matter who's good, who's not. So the Pirates will win again this year. And you'll be able to brag about that, Graham.
Perfect last name, though, to live in Wilmington. Considering
that Graham Till. There you go. I was thinking Graham for a minute. I was
but however, he's not a Wilmington fan, so.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sure they've won recently in Minges because ECU's been kind of bad, but it just
kinda.
It feels like ECU. The problem with UNCW, they play that style. Keats used to run into the issue when he first got to state. When you play a team of equal or better talent and length, you can turn the ball over a lot and give up a lot of points. So we'll see. Again, a few years ago, ECU got ran off the floor in Wilmington. Last year, ECU really took it to them, and that was without Ezra. So we'll see. That was the same UNCW team that beat Kentucky on the road.
The next game, right?
Yeah.
Saturday.
So just something about that game, man. We'll see what happens, but a lot of ball between now and then. All right, Bobby Harward, I'll tell you what, we'll bring Pancake on for our final segment. He's got a question for Pancake and the Steelers and the Commanders, so we'll address that in our final segment. Let's talk ECU football. Pirates are taking on FAU, 8 o'clock kickoff. Thursday night football, ESPN 2, I believe, is the channel. FAU, ECU, how are we feeling, Chance? What's your vibes like?
I feel too good about it, so that's not good.
Go ahead, yeah.
That's not a good thing. I feel Caton Hauser, he looked really good last week. It was Temple, so you do got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. But he looked good out there. He made all the right reads. He didn't play messy like we have seen before, and I don't know. Too good of a feeling, and this usually comes back to bite me every time.
Yeah, I don't have the best feeling about this game. So I'm kind of the opposite of you, but I think it's just you have that interim coach bump. The toughest thing to do is follow that up with another high-energy game. I will say I was out of practice on Monday, and there was a lot of energy out there. They seem to be approaching things the right way, Chance, but I don't know. I worry. I do think the thing that helps you here, though, national TV game, 2 wins away from a bowl, black unis, like there is a lot going for ECU, and I don't think FAU. What do they have to play for? I know they can still run the table and make a bowl, but they're coming off a pretty bad loss where they played well for 2.5 quarters and then just collapsed. I do think FAU has talent, and if they actually showed up and played, this would be a very close game. But I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about it. Am I just being too pessimistic?
I mean, they do have some good talent. They got the Marshall transfer player, Cam Fancher, and it's tough to keep that man in the pocket. So there's a lot of things ECU still has to do well. But, I believe these seniors have bought in. There was a lot of energy that I feel like I haven't seen, for a while since maybe the state game that was like flat out everybody was in it, even though it was Temple. It was a weird feeling looking down at halftime, and it was like they run out on the field, and I'm like, ain't the same team I've watched for the last 15 games.
Philip, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good. Their defense is not great, and they've been successful to the run this year and the pass. If you look at it, they're only letting up 195 pass yards per game, which is not a lot, but they've also played Army. There's also been a lot of teams who have not thrown the ball late. But if you go back to last week they didn't let up a lot of pass yards because South Florida ran for over 300 yards. But if you go back to the previous 2 games before that, they let up 320 yards each of the last 2 games before that against North Texas and somebody else. Can't remember who the other team was. I think if Caton gets in his flow early, they will be effective. They're not great against the run. Yes, they can score as well. That running back transfer from Florida State, he's a one-cut and run behind his pads kind of guy. He can create a lot of explosive plays, but this Pirates defense has done a very good job this year in limiting those explosive plays, and that is a lot of what FAU relies on to be successful.
I was going to bring that up because we know Blake Harrell loves to be aggressive. I think this is the game you make them march down the field and put a drive together. Because I think with Fancher, the more he runs around, he like just watching that USF game, he got beat up as that game went on. Like early on, it was all fun and games, and then USF started to hit him. He's been dealing with turf toe. You could tell it started to impact him. It kind of reminds me of the UTSA game. Not that McCown's as much of a threat as Fancher, but as that game wore on, Chance, ECU contained him. They didn't let the big play beat them, and then at the end of the game, UTSA was just, I think, ready to tap out. So I want to see that approach again on Thursday. Mix in some blitz, but maybe don't have as many busts as we saw against Temple.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that Blake Harrell is he's really good at designing a game plan. So there's a lot of different things that he can go to. A lot of times with these, mobile quarterbacks, you get them out of the pocket. Sometimes they just make bad decisions. So if you want to let him run around, hey, let him have his fun for a while, and then hit him one good time, make him realize that he ain't wearing that red jersey today.
No doubt, and a guy with turf toe is not going to be wanting to be hit too much.
Yeah.
2 and 6 is FAU, and again. So you're looking at the numbers via Pro Football Focus. When Cam Fancher is blitzed versus not blitzed, the numbers are about even. He actually is a touch worse not blitzed, according to the Pro Football Focus grades. He's been blitzed around 36% of the time. He's grading out around 61.5. Replacement level 60. And then not blitzed, he's grading out at 59.8. So not a huge difference there. The big difference, of course, when he's kept clean in the pocket, he's got a 70.3 offensive grade, and then when he's under pressure, 44.5, which is a huge difference. So if you can get some pressure, get him off a spot, he has a chance to make mistakes. He also can run for a lot of yards. So, again, you got to keep contained. It's one of those things, Philip, was tough as a pass rusher. Keeping contained while also trying to keep pressure. I mean, that is a tough challenge to any pass rusher because as soon as you see a glimpse of a quarterback, you want to break, contain, and go after him and try to tackle him, but it usually doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't. The tough thing is, you want him to step back up into the pocket. Not saying that he can't step back up and then take off and hurt you, but when it becomes bad, especially with Cam Fancher, is when he can spin and get outside. And that's part of the reason he actually does better against the blitz because he throws very good outside of the tackle box, outside of the pocket. And so that's why his numbers are a little better. And, that's also where he's hurt a lot of people with the running. Not saying he hasn't stepped up and ran up the middle, but if you have a spy on him especially, a lot of times that contains that. Yeah, he might get 3 or 4 yards, but he's not going to kill you with those home run plays. But it's when he can get hash number sidelines that he's very effective. And like you said, it's all about discipline. Yeah, you want to chase him because there's nothing better for a defensive lineman than to drag down the opposing team's quarterback. But this is a very mature defensive line, both on the outsides where you're going to do a lot more of that chasing, as well as the interior defensive line. They've faced plenty of mobile quarterbacks in their time at East Carolina. This is nothing new. Yes, he's left-handed. That might affect a few things, but overall not too much. And, you just got to be disciplined and be smart, and I think they will be.
All right, an interesting stat that was sent to me yesterday on Caton Hauser. This is according to the metric expected points added. It says it measures the quarterback's contribution towards offensive production by taking game context, down, distance to go, score, etc. into consideration. This is expressed as both a rate, QB, EPA per dropback, and a total EPA, perhaps the most commonly used advanced metric for measuring quarterback performance. So keep all that in mind. Caton Hauser right now ranks 5th nationally in EPA. The only quarterbacks ahead of him are Will Howard from Ohio State, Curtis Rourke from Indiana, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, Cam Ward from Miami.
It's a good group.
So, again, 73 dropbacks, small sample size. But he's ahead of Dylan Gabriel, Arch Manning, Blake Horvath of Navy, Kevin Jennings of SMU, Diego Pavia of Vanderbilt. So, pretty good company there, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys up there that's playing some really good football. We also got to remember that a lot of his dropbacks have came in Temple
and Army.
And then half of the Army game was just kind of sitting back and letting Caton Hauser do his thing. So you do kind of got to remember, but he's played great, so you got to give him his flowers because they're due.
No doubt. So just so I want to throw that out there, somebody sent that to me. I thought it was interesting, and we'll see how he follows it up. Again, if you're Blake Carroll and you're this coaching staff, if you finish the year scoring a bunch of points with your potential quarterback of the future, then all of a sudden, instead of, hey, we need to reset this whole thing, the conversation becomes, hey, do we want to keep some of this together? So a lot still to play for the Pirates. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show. This is Hoist the Colors.
Get ready to switch and save at Greenville Toyota. Switch out of that old ride and save a new RAV4s, $329 a month. Or test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage. It's time to switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off your... Show off.
Mountain Dew.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
It's time to switch out that old ride and save on a new Toyota. Switch out your current vehicle and get cash on the spot. Then save on a new Corolla for just $229 a month or a Highlander for only $409 a month. Switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up me hearty yo-ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. We've got Chance Scott in the studio. We've got Philip Pilgrim out in the class. But we're about to have a shift change and bring in Pancake, Nick Sampson, younger brother of Joe Sampson. We call him Pancake because if you pull up his huddle tape, he's just tossing guys to the ground and laying on them, a.k.a. pancaking them. That is what he does. That's also what the Steelers do, and they play the Washington Commanders this Sunday. Bobby Harvard, who joins us every week, he'll be our Thursday guest this week to make our picks. He says, Pancake, are you ready to catch that L on Sunday? So what do you think, man?
That's on me. I would not be surprised if we lost this week. It seems like the middle of the year game, you play well through the first two quarters, come out the second half flat and kind of fall apart. And you watch the team just mistake after mistake, penalty, and just watch it fall away.
Sounds like you're bracing for a loss.
I don't want to say bracing, but I just at this point of the year, you don't have coming off a bye week, you played two lesser opponents in the Jets with Devontae, so you're expecting a bigger game. They came out flat. The Giants was not a good game for the Giants. Coming into a week, the Commanders have been on fire lately, Jaden Daniels, so you just don't know what team you're going to get from either side, especially coming after a bye week.
This schedule for the Steelers down the stretch, Pancake, it's good they've won some games because
it gets tough for them.
At Commanders, Ravens at home, at the Browns, never an easy divisional game, at the Bengals, Browns at home, at the Eagles, at the Ravens, Chiefs at home, Bengals.
Yikes.
I mean, that is that might be a problem. Russell Wilson might be dead by December 21st. He's going to get beat up.
Yes, definitely.
And the real quarterback comes back in.
One that can run around and not die?
Yeah.
So, you've had a bye week to sit on this Russell Wilson, 2-game experience now?
Yes.
Are you a believer?
I like it more as we've seen more gameplay. He runs the offense like a normal offense. I don't mean that in a weird way. But he throws the ball. He goes through his progressions. There's no sense of craziness as compared to Fields. Fields can run around, make plays. Russ sits there, makes his reads, gets the ball in spots, can kind of change the offense to work in a certain situation compared to Fields. So you have the more expert side and the mental, but the physical side lacks from Fields. So I like it for now, and until we start to lack on the mental side.
That's fair. Bobby adds Marshawn Lattimore may be on his way to Washington. Trade deadline is here. We'll see if they can get that deal done. All right, Nick, appreciate it, man. We will hear from you again later this week?
Sure.
All right. We'll get your take later on this week, and whether it be ECU football or otherwise. Pass the keys back to Philip, and he will take us home here in a little bit. As a non-Commanders or non-Steelers fan, Chance, what's your read on this game?
Oh, I have no clue because it feels so weird to see the Commanders playing so well. It's just like, man, when did they fall apart? Same thing watching the Steelers. But let's talk about the real football team, the Carolina Panthers, and they're going to go back-to-back when we beat the Giants.
The Carolina Panthers won a football game. Is Bryce Young back? Can we start calling him BY9 again?
Man, he looked a lot better than really what his numbers shown. Leggett had that ball ripped out of his hands. David Moore probably dropped, if not a touchdown, at least first and goal on the 2-yard line. So many plays I thought he made it. He looked better. He ran the offense better. Once Canales lets him do his thing like he did at Bama, I think he looked better, but it looked like he's got his swagger back.
Where are they playing this game?
London, right?
Munich.
Yeah.
Allianz Arena.
Somewhere weird, Germany.
Germany.
Okay. How do we feel about that, Philip?
Hey, I'm going to say it on air, even though it was an off-the-air conversation. Jim Szoke brought up a good point. You start World War II, your punishment is you get the Giants and the Panthers to come to Germany. Ha, you stink, Germany. That's what you get. And no Jonathan Mingo for the Panthers. They traded him today to the Cowboys for a fourth-round pick. Are clearly desperate for weapons because the Cowboys stink almost as bad as the Panthers. But, hey, like to Chance's point, Bryce probably played the best game of his career. Is he back? No. Is it over and he stands no chance to ever be good? No. So, hey, he was throwing the ball down the field, looked pretty effective, and we'll see what happens. But I like Chance's mindset here. Good opportunity to go 2-0 and back-to-back weeks.
I can't believe they got a fourth-round pick for Jonathan Mingo.
Well, worse trade compensation than what we got for Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
I think there's a bigger story behind the
well,
Johnson
Mingo's
trade.
got a couple years on his deal.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's played with 20 games. Man, he's looked flat out terrible.
He has. Well, I heard he's at least a nice locker room guy, and Johnson is not.
Yeah, that's true. So.
All right, well, this was fun. Chance, appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
Plug your podcast one more time.
The Pirate Pulse, the video is dropping tonight.
There you go. Check it out, Pirate Pulse, on all your podcast platforms. Thanks to Nick Sampson and Philip Pilkington as well behind the glass. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. We'll have Kevin Monroe. Also, James Gilio may be making his debut in studio. Son of Joe Gilio, Hoist the Colors intern. We'll talk to you then. This has been Hoist the Colors.
With your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon.